Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Wellness Wednesday live Q&A. My name is Adelaide, and I am a certified nutrition and wellness consultant here with Rose Natural Wellness, and we specialize in the education and personalized guidance surrounding nutrition and wellness. So I'm really excited to get started today, and today's topic is going to be a special topic that you may have heard kind of floating around recently. Maybe you haven't heard of it, or maybe it's something that's pretty brand new that you're not familiar with. But today's topic, we are going to be really talking about the benefits of seed cycling for women's health, particularly for helping to address underlying hormonal imbalances and help to naturally regulate the menstrual cycle. So this is, of course, going to be more geared towards women who are menstruating, but certainly, hopefully this can be something that will be helpful to you. And it is something that can be utilized by anyone because it's natural food based. But definitely, this is more geared towards women. So, as we're getting started today, if you start to have questions about what seed cycling is that you would like me to directly answer, please put those into the chat box and I would be happy to answer that. But let's go ahead and get started. So, we're going to talk about what exactly seed cycling is and what that means, and how it connects directly to women's hormones, whether it's helpful or not for women's health. And if so, then how can we implement that in an easy and sustainable way? So, first and foremost, I really want to be clear about what the menstrual phase, the menstrual cycles, and their different phases look like so that we can have a better understanding of how this concept of seed cycling would fit into that. So, in very simple terms, we have essentially kind of four phases to our menstrual cycle, and they have a little bit of overlap. So, day one through about day 5 to 7 is going to be your period time frame where you're bleeding. And day one is also going to mark the start of what's called your follicular phase. So the follicular phase is essentially about the first half of the menstrual cycle. And in this time, estrogen is rising, and essentially your body's preparing an egg to be released through ovulation. Now, ovulation is typically going to occur somewhere around day 14. Sometimes it ranges depending on the person, or if you are somebody who has a condition called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, there may be multiple times that the egg is being released, or multiple eggs. So this may not apply directly, but just to have a good basis understanding of what a typical normal sort of menstrual cycle would look like, that's what we're talking about. So ovulation typically occurs around day 14. That is the absolute top peak of estrogen, and the egg is released, of course. So then the remainder of the menstrual cycle is going to be that luteal phase. Some people call it the luteal phase, however you'd like to pronounce it. That's going to be day 15 through approximately day 28. On average, we see that most women typically have about a 28-day cycle, but of course that is very bio-individual. It's very dependent on each person as a unique individual. So some women will find that their cycle is shorter or much longer. So you can certainly adjust based off of your needs as you start to become aware of your body and how your cycle operates for you. So in that secondary phase, that luteal phase, that second half, that's where we see progesterone rising. So this would be the hormone that would help to support a pregnancy if you were to get pregnant during this cycle. Now, if there is no pregnancy that occurs, both estrogen and progesterone are going to drop off towards the end of that luteal phase. And that is what is going to ultimately trigger the next period. So then it goes in that cycle every single month, unless there is a pregnancy that occurs. So that's our four phases: our period, follicular phase, ovulation, and luteal phase. Those make up the very wonderful and complex system that we have the honor to call the menstrual cycle. So that basically the biggest key takeaways that I want you to understand from this very brief overview of what the menstrual cycle is and how it works is just that our hormones naturally rise and fall throughout the month. This is very, very, very different from how men's hormones work. Men's hormones actually operate off of a 24-hour cycle. So where they're seeing their rise and fall in hormones, it's just on a 24-hour clock and it resets really, really quickly, which is why women have different needs and why we need to address things so much differently for women compared to men. Because we are unique individuals that have differences in our hormones. And it's very important to understand those differences, how they occur, why they occur, how they present themselves, so that we can be better at taking care of our own bodies and being proactive about the types of things that we are doing to assist our bodies through these different phases of health. So, the biggest influencing factors that are going to occur as a result of these hormonal shifts are typically going to be centered around our energy needs, just like our energy levels, I suppose. So, how you're feeling, if you're feeling really energetic, ready to take on the world, or if you're feeling like you kind of would rather just cuddle up under a blanket and watch Netflix. That is definitely going to be a common occurrence that we see with women, is those changes in energy levels corresponding to the changes in our hormonal levels. Same thing with the mood. During the follicular phase, it is very, very, very common for women to experience much higher mood levels, feeling a lot more motivated, positive, energetic. And then as we get into that luteal phase where progesterone is rising, but estrogen is falling off, and then progesterone for most people, unless you get pregnant, is typically also going to fall off. That double whammy of having both of those hormones dropping at the same time does really play an impact in your mood. And many women will find during that luteal phase that they experience a little bit more irritability, maybe more sadness, moodiness, or just feeling that wanting to kind of withdraw from other people. And that's very normal and it's totally okay. I will say, just since we're on the topic of mood, really quick, if you experience really abnormal moods, really, really wide swings where you're super excited, energetic, and then all of a sudden you're so down and maybe kind of bordering on more depressive, that's where I would really, really encourage you to talk to your medical professional or your health team to see if there might be any other underlying causes. Because, yes, as women, we should naturally expect that our moods and our energy levels are going to shift throughout the month. And we should be able to expect that those moods will change as well. And we may feel a little bit more down during that second half of our menstrual cycle. That's very normal. But if it's going outside of the realm of normal moods that you might experience on a day to day, and it feels a lot more extreme sadness, feelings of depression, extreme fatigue. Those are all going to be really big signs that maybe something deeper is wrong. And it would be really important for you to go to a medical professional to get their opinion if you are experiencing really severe swings in those moods. And especially, certainly, if you have any sort of really negative, like suicidal thoughts or anything, please immediately go to your doctor and the proper support channels to get that support. And once you're in a good, stable spot, then we can talk about naturally working on hormonal balance through nutrition. But we always want to rule out anything that may be more serious. And just as a reminder, I am not a medical doctor. I am not a medical professional. I am a certified nutrition and wellness consultant. So I help particularly with the behavior change and support and education around nutrition. I do not diagnose, treat, cure, or give any sort of medical advice. So if you do need some medical advice from your healthcare team, please direct those questions to them. But in terms of supporting our nutritional needs through our healthy menstrual cycle, we do have a really cool sort of strategy that's kind of making waves and is up and coming in this space. And that's going to be seed cycling, the entire topic that we're really centering around today. So let's define first what exactly is seed cycling for those that might not know or may not have a clear vision of what that looks like. So, seed cycling is essentially a nutritional practice where you are taking different edible seeds and we're placing them intentionally at different phases of the menstrual cycle for you to eat to help support that natural hormone balance. So, typically, the most common seeds that we would like to use if we were using this sort of method, is during that follicular phase, day 1 through 14, we would really emphasize flax seeds and pumpkin seeds because these have been thought to help support those natural estrogen levels during that time frame. Flax seeds especially have a high amount of natural phytoestrogens, which can definitely help with supporting natural estrogen. Now, in the luteal phase, days 15 through 28, our second half of our menstrual cycle, that's where we would switch out the flax seeds and the pumpkin seeds, and we would replace those actually with sesame seeds and sunflower seeds. These have both been thought to help support the natural production of progesterone to aid in that second phase of your cycle. So essentially, what we're doing is we're cycling or rotating these different seeds throughout our cycle to help pair the natural benefits of the seeds to the exact hormonal cycle that we're in and support our hormones in a healthy and natural way, which is really, really cool. So, this is again kind of an up and coming sort of approach to addressing underlying hormonal balance. So let's kind of talk about what does the research actually say? What are we looking at? Is this effective? Is this something that women should or should not try? We definitely want to dive into that because the most important thing is anytime we look at a new strategy or nutritional intervention or behavior change, we really want to make sure that the research is supportive and that there wouldn't be any major downsides that could cause potential issues for people. So that's where we really want to look into that. So I will say that seed cycling itself has very, very limited clinical research that has been conducted on it. Now, this is not really very surprising because the vast majority of clinical research is funded by different companies that have a particular interest in seeing the results of that research. Because flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, and sunflower seeds are commercially available everywhere and it's there's not really a direct profit that could be had very easily from identifying or kind of studying this, it is perhaps not the top priority to fund a research study on this topic. But even though we have some limited clinical evidence, there has been some support to show that it may help. But specifically, what we do have evidence for is the nutrients in the seeds themselves. And that is really primarily what this sort of theory about using seed cycling to benefit natural hormone balance, that's really where it's kind of based off of is the exact nutrients of these foods and how they interact with our body. So, for example, flax seeds. Flax seeds contain a compound called lignans, which may influence estrogen metabolism by upregulating it and helping to support that healthy estrogen metabolism into the body and getting it into the right places where it needs to be. So, very cool. Pumpkin and sunflower seeds. These are really high in essential micronutrients like zinc, selenium, and vitamin E. And these are going to be also excellent for antioxidant and immune support. The other reason I really love pumpkin seeds, honestly, if I had to pick a favorite sort of superfood, I would probably pick pumpkin seeds because pumpkin seeds have a lot more than just these essential nutrients that we're talking about. They also are excellent sources of iron and magnesium. They provide over 20% of our daily value of iron and over 60% of our daily value of magnesium per serving. Each serving has approximately 7 grams of protein. And this is just a really incredible food. It's very versatile. It doesn't have a lot of flavor to it typically. So you can blend it into smoothies, add it onto salads, bake it into different baked goods, or eat them just as is. And you get some really amazing benefits without really sacrificing in flavor. So super, super amazing, amazing food. And I really recommend that to all women, especially because it is so high in magnesium and iron. And we find that many women tend to have trouble with getting adequate amounts of magnesium and iron. So I really recommend, if nothing else, at least try adding pumpkin seeds into your routine at any point in the month because it really is going to provide an amazing benefit. And then finally, sesame seeds also, they are going to contain those same lignans that help with our hormone metabolism. And they also have healthy fats, which directly play a role in creating the hormones that we need in our body. So, overall, when it comes to seed cycling, the majority of the data or information that we have on if it is effective really comes from more anecdotal evidence. So people kind of sharing their experience on how their process of using seed cycling went and if it was effective for them. So, a lot of that is based on their experience, as well as, of course, the nutritional principles that we already know play a big role in these hormonal balances. So, I will say there's not a lot of really formal peer-reviewed studies on this topic. It would be so great if we could see that to really ascertain a more scientific analysis of if this is effective and to what degree it's effective. But for now, it's a really safe and very low cost alternative that you can use to just see if it makes a difference for you and provides that benefit. So I do recommend just giving it a shot if that's something that you're interested in. And certainly, if you have ever tried seed cycling, if you're interested in it, or if you do end up trying it, please share with us and tell us your experience. If you are out there in the audience right now and you do have an opinion on seed cycling or you have tried it before, please go ahead and add that in the chat. I would love to know your experience. All right. So finally, let's talk about kind of some practical tips. So we've determined that seed cycling doesn't have a ton of a research backing, but it's a very, very safe sort of nutritional intervention to try, very low cost. And really, the only risk surrounding it would be maybe you spend $20 on all these seeds and you don't like the taste or something, or it doesn't really show much of a benefit for you. It's not very high risk. So I do recommend just giving it a shot if you're interested. So, how you would go about this is during the proper phase of your cycle, you are going to add those seeds into a smoothie or eat them on their own. You can put them in oatmeal, yogurt, salads, or any other way that you would like. But you're going to take 1 to 2 teaspoons of each type of seed and you're going to ground it up. That way, it helps with increasing the absorbability of the nutrients. And then that's where you would then add it to your smoothie, yogurt, oatmeal, or salad. You can also do kind of meal prep with this. You could pre grind all of your amounts of your seeds before you use them and then store them in the fridge or freezer so that all you have to do in the morning is go over and take out your little baggie that's already pre-portioned and put it into your smoothie and you're good to go. Now, for women who don't have a regular cycle, either they have irregular periods, maybe you're in menopause or perimenopause, or you have PCOS and your cycle's a little all over the place. What some women recommend in that case is just starting off with kind of trying to follow the phases of the moon as your guide. It has been known in all throughout history, really, that women's hormonal cycles tend to really sync up to the cycles of the moon. So if you are somebody that has a really irregular cycle, you can use the moon as a guide. And for the first 2 weeks, from new moon to about half moon or whatever they call it, you can do the flax seeds and pumpkin seeds. And then for that second half, those next 2 weeks up until the full moon, then you could do your sesame seeds and your sunflower seeds. So that would be a great way to help keep you on track with a regular cycle. And if it's helping to address those underlying hormonal issues, then you may find that your cycle starts to slowly regulate to more of a more normal pattern like we see with the phases of the moon. So try it out. Let me know if it works for you and your experience. But again, seed cycling is really just a simple food-based practice that has a ton of potential benefits, even though our research is limited. It does have, based on the principles of nutrition and so much anecdotal evidence that we are now seeing from women who are trying this, it does show a lot of promise for being a really effective tool to help us. So If you're curious, I definitely encourage trying it. Always prioritize balancing your diet and your eating pattern overall for the best benefit to your health. And of course, if you have any big questions or concerns about your health, whether that's your menstrual cycle, your mental health, or anything else, please talk to your medical team to make sure that all your ducks in a row. And then once you are in a good spot with anything more severe that's going on, I would be happy to help you in the realm of nutrition. There's so much that we can do with healthy, real food nutrition to help improve our energy levels, our mental health, our physical health, regulate a healthy weight, and balance underlying hormonal issues. This is the power of natural food cannot be overstated. It is so incredible, and it's such a privilege that we have access to so many nutrient dense foods that can really help to support our health. So I really encourage anybody to really make sure that you are having a healthy, balanced, well rounded diet. And if you do have potential underlying hormonal imbalances, this may be a great strategy to try. So definitely let us know. Please drop a blurb in the chat or the comment box if you've ever tried seed cycling and let me know your experience. If you're interested in trying it and you have more questions, let me know and put those in the chat or the comments as well. We would just love to kind of open that floor up and just share with our community so we can help each other to elevate our health as a whole. Now, if you would like to dive more deeply into cycle syncing nutrition, women's health, or any other health and nutrition topic that we talk about, please make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. That way you don't miss out on any of our amazing Q&A videos and other practical tips that we share. And if you're ready to get started with your personalized guidance to help directly improve your health through natural, real food nutrition, then I would certainly be happy to help. You can visit our website, rosenaturalwellness.com, and sign up for a free discovery call today. And that will give us an opportunity to make sure that we're a good fit to work together and support your health going forward. So thank you for joining us again on today's Wellness Wednesday live Q&A. We are so looking forward to answering more of your amazing questions next week. Have a great, healthy, and happy day. Bye-bye.